afternoon, and welcome to Luncheon and Learning with me, your girl, Jackie O, and the fabulous attorney, Delia Parker Mims. Thank you all so much for joining us. We are so sorry that we're a tad bit late, but hey, that's okay because we're still on here and we are going to be sharing some really great information with you today with Delia. She is no stranger to the Jackie O platform. So we are super excited that she has taken time out of her busy schedule because she is super busy to be with us on this afternoon to talk about what's going on. So let's talk about it. Delia, again, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me again. It's good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes, yes. Before we get started, can you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what you're doing in Denton County as the chair of the Democratic Party there in Denton County?
I sure will. The Denton County Democrats are moving forward. We are the best county party in the state of Texas, and I got the numbers to prove that. We've been engaging people in Denton County to get registered. And last election cycle, we were number one in the state for percentage increase in registration. Motivating Democrats to get to the polls, and we were also one of only 11 counties in the entire state that increased Democratic turnout. So we're hoping to do the same thing in this new election cycle because our job is to get the base to the polls.
Amen. There you have it. So, with that being said, we're going to hop right into our luncheon and learn session on today. So, Delia, I know you, myself, and millions of Americans saw the news on yesterday with President Biden. And I don't know about you, but I had some mixed emotions. I was sad. I was just like, what just happened? What just happened? How did you feel when you heard the news?
What a time to be on the show right after what happened yesterday, huh? And I'm
I
sorry,
know.
I'm in Martyr history and talking with a political person, so the
Yeah.
timing certainly was fortuitous. So in the morning, I felt deflated. I had someone in my party call and tell me what was going on. I was just enjoying my morning, watching TV, catching up on all the TV I couldn't see during the week. And then I looked at the news and I saw that he was stepping down. And I have been constantly advocating from my own podium that we need to, as Democrats, just be united.
Yes.
Be united. How can we not go up against a guy with 34 felonies, the guy
Mm.
who is a sexual predator, the guy who has sold out America, who was integral in starting an insurrection? How can we not go against that guy and not be confident? But I
Right.
thought, Democratic elitists were really pushing the narrative. We need to get rid of him. Need to get rid of him. And so I'm like, I'm really against it. But if you do get rid of him, it's got to be
Yeah.
Kamala, because you're going to lose the black women vote if you don't. I'm already skeptical because I have come to the conclusion that misogyny is actually worse than racism, and
Mhm.
it's taken me 55 years to get there. But every race of men participate in misogyny,
Yeah.
and don't
I
woman lead.
agree.
I'm very concerned about her being president, and so I mean her running, because being president, there's no issue as to her qualifications. But
Mhm.
after I got over the disappointment and I started thinking about the idea that, wow, we could actually get a Kamala for president, and I started seeing all the backings and everybody getting motivated. And then what topped it off, and then you may have been a part of it, the 44,000 woman phone call.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
matter of
That was
hours.
amazing.
Yeah, the organization, in a matter of mere hours, of
Hmm.
of women and black women, but women in general. It's, to me, it's about gender right now. I want racial
Yeah.
freedom. I want my gender freedom. And the way they were able to organize in that period of time, and that group alone raised over $1 million. It's actually getting me excited. The narrative is changing.
Mhm.
Now the old man on the ballot is on the Republican side. So I'm all for it. It is what it is, and I just hope that we can go through this without getting any people trying to nominate themselves against her. They're not going to win. You have to go with Kamala. You have to go with Kamala,
Yeah.
since they thought it was the best thing to do to get rid of Biden. This is what we have to do, because You can't win anything from dog catcher to president without the black woman's vote in the Democratic Party. And we're not
Correct.
like this time.
Correct. I agree. And so, with that being said, Delia, how would the election of the first woman president reshape domestic and international perceptions of the U.S. leadership and influence?
Mexico, the
Mm.
machismo country itself, with the men who are known for being machismo, elected their first woman president. That right there speaks volumes to how behind the times that we are. But as I was thinking about this election, something came to mind, and I'll probably write about it later, is that on November 5th, we have been pushed into a corner where America is going to have to deal with its demons of the past.
Mhm.
To deal with our demons of slavery. We're going to have to deal with our demons of misogyny that we don't talk about, but which is rampant in every community. And we're going to have to decide, do we care about democracy, or would we rather vote for a dictator? You know, it's either you vote for this black woman president, or you're saying, I would rather us no longer be a democracy. We are in the corner. We have been pushed to the corner to deal with that issue. So
Right.
I think it's far more significant than we give it credit for. Because again, like I said, I believe misogyny is very strong. I
Mhm.
loved Obama, but he was not more qualified than Hillary.
Right.
And of course, when he won, I have no regrets. But he was a first term senator. Certainly, the TV entertainer was not more qualified than the most qualified person running for president in modern history, whether you like Hillary or not. She was
Yeah.
the most qualified person running for president in modern history, and we still voted for the TV character.
Yeah.
Now we're going
There's
to
a lot.
again and to see whether or not we as a country can move forward. And if Mexico can move forward, I think America can do the same.
I agree. I agree. So, what are some of Kamala's main strengths and challenges as a presidential candidate, and how can she effectively position herself to win the Democratic nomination and the general election?
Well, that's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to continue to lean on what I've said. We are now in the very interesting moment in American history, and America is a great experiment.
Mhm.
And her being a black woman, as we know, she has no privilege as a male, or as she's not Caucasian. And I believe that creates a very special dynamic, and that alone creates challenges because
Yeah.
I'm a candidate, and it is known that black women have a harder time raising money, and I don't think that that's going to be one of her challenges. Okay, I don't think that's going to be her challenge, because those oligarchs who got rid of Biden are going to have to step forward. So
Right.
that's one obstacle she's going to be able to overcome. And then there's something that I called selective criteria. It's just a phrase I created. Selective criteria. Whenever someone who doesn't look like what you think should be in that position is running, you could be running for dog catcher.
Mhm.
Suddenly, there's so many criterias involved. Is she qualified? Is she this? And it's like, you elected a guy who had never held public office,
Never.
who we don't, had no idea, and who tried to tell people to drink Clorox to get rid of COVID. But I'm seeing some people on the other side questioning her um, qualifications and her ability. So
Mhm.
selectively, you want to start saying we have a criteria when it doesn't exist in any other manager. So she has to overcome that stereotype that all women have to overcome. But then she is the nuanced of being a woman and a black woman. So you're hitting right on the precipice of people's biases, and even
Mhm.
don't even who don't even recognize it. I saw one comment from a woman that said, she's always laughing. Can you imagine her laughing with Kim Jong Un and all these other, like, she could not hold herself appropriately in dealing with people in the world. And then I saw another comment. I just like Trump and I just feel so comfortable with him. I feel like he's going to protect me. So those are sexist and misogynistic views coming from women because we too have bought into that stereotype that
Right.
be protected by men, and women can be some of the biggest people who create that sexism in the atmosphere. So she's got to overcome that, and it's natural people's biases. But her strength is she is more than qualified, as most Black women are when they run for anything. She's already
Mhm.
more qualified. She's already been the vice president, so she slides in already knowing what the general temper is and the tone is around the world and around the country. The Biden Harris record is actually very good in the economy nationally. We don't have as great of a charismatic voice as the Republicans do, but the fact of the matter is the economy is very strong. What causes inflation, which is at this point corporations raising their prices just to continue to have huge profits. These are not guesses or excuses.
Right.
These are realities. When you see signs that say corporations have record profits, if you're getting record profits, that means you don't have a supply side issue. That means you're just gouging the public because you're using inflation to you're using COVID to suggest that you have to continue to raise prices. None of that has anything to do with the Biden Harris policies. They were, corporations were even given a tax break under Trump, which one could argue was smart because if in COVID, if they're having a supply chain problem, then they might need those tax breaks. But none of it trickled down. So she's going to have the challenge of clearly, which is Democrats don't do, like I'm not doing at this moment, articulating how the economy is strong because people only see gas prices and they
Mhm.
move that. She's going to have to figure out how to articulate that under the Biden Harris administration. They've addressed the economy through the middle class, not the upper class. I don't benefit from Trump's policies. I do benefit from the Inflation Reduction Act because I got solar panels, and so now I get a tax break. I got an electric car, so I'm going to get a tax break on that. That's benefiting the middle class, and that everybody knows the strength of a country is built on its middle class. So she's got to articulate economic policy why how the Democratic administration
Yeah, I
helps them
agree.
more than the other side.
Yeah, I agree. So, Delia, if any, how can the Democratic Party address internal disagreements and reconcile differing policy priorities to present a unified front to the voters?
That is the $1 million question.
Mm,
Our party is diverse and it represents America.
yeah.
That is, it is also our weakness. And it's our weakness because everybody comes to the table with issues that are important to them. We're not a monolithic group that you can characterize as white, pretending to be Christian, pretending to have certain family values where create they've created a dynamic that we know don't even exist. They're not Christian. They don't have family values. They're good with a sex offender, an adulterer. So they don't actually live the things that they espouse, but they're able to come to an agreement on what those things are because they're pretty much a monolithic looking group.
Mhm.
When you represent what America actually looks like, it's hard to come to one consensus on what priority needs to be established over another. So that's going to be hard. And part of my frustration has been those who didn't want who got nervous after one debate and they were talking. And my thing is, why can't we just get on board and be a team player?
Right.
Shut up, stop, take care of it in house because that's what they do. They are happily behind their Republican candidate who, other than no other demographic on earth, no one other than a rich white male could run for office with 34 felonies, being convicted of sexual assault, being convicted of fraud. No other person could have the gumption to run for
Mhm.
president, but they're gleefully standing behind him. And we just had one bad debate with a person with a great character and who's done a great job, and we can't stick behind him. So it's going to be hard. It is going to be hard to do that. But I think that a lot of people have gotten excited about Kamala being on the ticket. Our youth
Right.
have gotten excited about it, and we've seen a renewed interest in November 5th because of her being on there. People are tired of the same demographic. So that's $1 million question. I don't know how or what the answer is. People just have to learn that it is completely true that united we stand, divided we fall, and that
Yeah.
sometimes you have to just trust your leadership to be making the right decisions, because I firmly believe this was already being planned. I
Right.
actually that Biden really wanted to win and run so that he could turn it over to Kamala. I don't think he ever intended to do 4 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
I totally agree. Yeah. So what role do party leaders and prominent figures play in promoting unity within the Democratic Party, and how can they effectively bridge divides to strengthen the party's platform and message? You kind of touched on that a little bit of the $1 million question previously. So,
well, with this thing, what happened now? My approach, and you may already know this, but like the four big party chairs in North Texas were all black, right? Colin, Denton, Dallas, and
mhm,
Tarrant County. So we communicate with each other a little bit more often than we had in the past, and talk about, well, when should we respond? And my approach has always been to step back as a leader. I step back and I don't respond immediately, because even though it may seem weird to me because of who I am, I'm like, whatever someone else thinks, what difference does it make? The reality is people are looking to us
right.
to make statements and to do things. And so I wanted to say, as Delia Parker, immediately after the quote unquote assassination attempt,
Mhm,
the post staged, right? But then I remembered, well, I'm also the chair of the county. So I need to step back and wait and see what's going on. And then that's the same directives that our Texas State Party gave us. And then as other things came out, then we're able to speak more freely. And I think that what we have to do as leaders is we need to step back a little bit more. And so I was very frustrated with a lot of our leaders, a lot of our elected officials countrywide, because they were just talking too much. And so you have to just give pause and have a concerned and considered response. And so eventually I sent out a response on my on our email. I sent out something about, pushing Biden out, and we need to be thankful for what he's done, and it's a privilege to
right.
support. And you can't imagine that email. I got so many responses, and it was extremely long. You
Yeah.
would think people didn't read it. It was more like an essay. But I mean, I got about 20 people replying, "Thank you for saying this. Thank you for whatever." So you just have to be calm. As
Mhm,
there, you have to wait, and you should be team focused. And it's hard because we all have so many different demographics that we represent and that we think should be a priority.
mhm.
Um, to realize that there are certain values we all maintain, and hopefully we're going to support those individual
Right.
individual values, as opposed to getting caught up in what policies are out there that address this issue or that, because there's so much.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true. So, everyone, if you are just tuning in, we are talking to Attorney Delia Parker Mims, who is the chair for the Denton County Democratic Party. And we're talking about all things. First of all, what just happened on yesterday? We talked about that and talking about the dynamics of having a first woman president and, of course, a first woman of color, a Black woman, to be in office. So, that's what we have been talking about. And if you have missed any of what we have talked about earlier, please feel free to go back and watch the replay once this broadcast ends. We also ask that you share this broadcast with others, because we all know that knowledge is power, and we need to have knowledge, and we also need to research for ourselves and bring on people like Delia that is going to shed light and help us to understand the process, what's going on. And because she's in it, she is in there. I've seen her at work. I've attended some things, events that she's done. And let me tell you, she is very passionate about the people. She is very passionate about what she's doing. And she loves serving the people and making sure that they are taken care of. And so, we really want to hear from someone like Delia to just really shed some light and share with us on today. So that's what this luncheon and learning is all about. So again, if you're just tuning in, please go back, watch the replay, and also share this broadcast. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about Project 2025. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Do you need to unwind and escape the chaos? Find a comfortable spot and slip on your headphones. Sit back, press play, and listen to your favorite music. Get lost in a world of dreamy tracks and soothing tunes. Your peace, your way. Through smiles, laughter, and shared moments, human connection bridges hearts, transcending barriers, and illuminating the beauty of our shared humanity. In every glance, touch, and conversation, we find solace, understanding, and belonging. Cherish the bonds that unite us, for in them lies the essence of our existence. It's all about the connection. Want to boost your health and energy? Start running. It's the perfect way to strengthen your heart, clear your mind, and stay fit. Lace up, hit the pavement, and feel the rush of adrenaline. Transform your life one step at a time. Run for your health. Run for you. Discover the Glow Collection by Jackie O, where the magic lies in embracing healthy skin, not chasing perfection. Our all-natural skincare line leaves your skin nourished and hydrated, radiating a natural glow, because we believe in the beauty of authenticity. Say goodbye to unrealistic standards and say hello to your best skin. Shop the Glow Collection by Jackie O at www.jackieo.com. Your journey to naturally radiant skin begins here.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Motivational Monday with me, your girl Jackie O, with our special edition of Luncheon and Learning with attorney Delia Parker Mims, who is also the chair of the Denton County Democratic Party. And we have been talking about what recently happened on yesterday with President Biden and with Vice President Kamala Harris, with her being the nominee. And so we are really excited to talk to Delia. And now we're going to continue our discussion and talk about the famous Project 2025. And I have a couple of questions. And so I hope some of you, as we were talking earlier about how knowledge is power and how you're really educating yourselves on the process, educating yourselves on Project 2025 and just all things that are going on right now. If you have not had a chance to read through the whole 920 pages or glance through it, so you will know for yourself and not just be listening to what other people are saying. And you'll also know how crucial it is that we are informed so that we can make the right decision when it comes to voting and who we're voting for. Okay. So Delia, we're going to hop right into that. So my question is, what are the objectives of Project 2025 and how does it plan to influence the political and electoral landscape leading up to the 2024 presidential election?
Well, let me just say, I am an attorney, and I myself have to do research on Project 2025, and sit down and read it to understand everything, because it's all encompassing. So
Mhm.
broadly, I will say project, and I'm not exaggerating. People thought we were exaggerating when we said it wasn't about Hillary, it's about the Supreme Court. And guess what? It was about the Supreme Court. We're not exaggerating when we say Project 2025 does bring us to more of a handmaiden's tale type of reality. It's actually insane. Okay,
Mhm.
so what it is Google Project 2025. You're going to see, it's probably going to be too much to read. You have to find other sources to try to break down the different pages. And on social media, you'll see a lot of people posting things about some of the policies in it. But it's basically conservatives saying, we want to undo the way that we live and work in America, because the radical left, I don't know what that means. The radical left has changed policies. It's not just enough for us to have conservative legislators. We need to change policy, agenda, practices, personnel, and training. So it
Mhm.
goes into your very specific way of life. So it's the first ironic thing is addresses goes into your everyday living, and says things like you no more overtime for if you work more than 40 hours a week. Just crazy things. For to only illnesses that came from being in active duty. So if you're a retired veteran and you don't have Agent Orange, then I guess you don't get any services on that matter. And then they want to mandate a nationwide abortion ban completely. So these are very intimate things in your day-to-day living that if you say a 900-page document has they've sat down, mostly men, and decided what's best for the American people. They want to dismantle the government as we see it now, get rid of departments, rid of those departments, and they want to put the right people that they call the right people in those positions. So it's not enough to have a conservative elected. It's running and put the right people in place to do those things. Sounds a lot like The Handmaid's Tale,
Yeah.
except it's all inclusive. It's not just women, although women are at the bottom of this, and it is women, not Hispanics, to me, that they just want to bring us back to an era where we have working serfs, that we're all what I think right now the economy is, and I say sharecroppers because a sharecropper is working someone else's land with the belief that they can ever get ahead. But we all know they never did get ahead, right? They were still
Yeah.
always in too much debt. No matter how much cotton you pulled for the person who owned the land, you still owed them more, and you could never buy the land. But they always promised you, you do this, you can buy the land. And that to me is the economy now. We can't never get ahead. People don't want to admit that, but that's the economy. And for some reason, Project 2025 seems to want to build upon that
Mhm.
model. So I don't know what it is. Separation of the elite and the working class. It is the working class. How it will affect the election, I think it should be the centerpiece of the election. I think it
Yeah.
should be the centerpiece. And it goes to what I said. We are now in the corner where America has to face its demons and deal with its sins of the past. Will you elect a black woman, or will you
Mhm.
say, I would rather us not have a democracy?
Right.
Because Project 5 affects that. And you will even hear people on the right say stuff like, we don't live in a democracy, we live in a republic. Now, they can't tell you what the difference is. And I can
Mhm.
tell you that there really is a difference. But that's just their way of saying, I'm good with having somebody voting for someone who makes all the decisions for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that to me is the most scariest thing that it's a twilight zone. We are
Yeah.
now seeing people say correction. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a republic. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. But the fact that they're willing to say, I'm willing to give up my democracy.
Mhm.
I know have you heard anybody say that on the news?
About giving up their democracy?
Yeah. That we don't
Yes.
live in a, we live in a
Yes.
republic.
Yes. Which, and I agree. I agree with you about that being the most ridiculous thing. But you have some people that that's how they think. So,
But
you know,
the idea that we're now at a point where people are literally saying we don't live in a democracy, and they think they're saying something like that's a flex
hmm,
because
right.
you're really give up your democracy because you have so much faith in this king who wants to be a dictator, who, to Trump's credit, tells you exactly what he wants. He's not lying about it.
He does
He
not
ain't hiding.
sugarcoat it.
No, he's not pretending. Now he's
Yeah.
lying about Project 2025, but he's so incredibly incompetent that he
Mhm.
can't help himself but say I'm going to be a dictator on day one. Oh yeah, right, and that's going to yeah. He's
Yeah.
telling you.
Yeah. Yeah. So you need to believe him. And you
Yeah.
need to believe him and run.
I mean,
How
when nobody in the administration who was in the upper echelons can endorse him, none of them. You tried to kill your vice president, and we're
hmm,
still whether or not we should vote for the black woman or this
yeah.
person. What other entity on earth could even be running for president? And all we could say was Hillary's emails. I don't even know what her email issues was about.
He didn't
I
either.
mean, what? But oh, those emails. Okay,
Because there was nothing in the emails. He doesn't either. It was something he made up.
lock her up. Emails.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Twilight
Agree.
Zone.
Yeah. Totally agree. So how are various political groups and stakeholders responding to Project 2025? Have you heard, how they're responding, and what are the main points of support or criticism that you're hearing?
Well, right now, I think we're on an information overload where people are learning about Project 2025. That started happening kind of right after the debate, and they started bringing up, well, you guys need to look at this. You need to look at this. So I think it's fairly early, and people need to take the time to figure out what it is and what people are talking about when they say that, and how to
Mhm.
disseminate that information. But I mean, the main criticism is it is fascism at its finest,
Right.
overtaking our democratic form of government that people are willingly willing to do. So you've got Project 2025, and you've got November 5th, and then you've got this moment. I think it's gonna be an amazing time in history to
Yeah.
see what we do, and I'm still optimistic.
Yes. Yes.
Optimistic.
I am
I
too.
was when I first heard of the news, because I have been preaching, we're not going to ever elect a black woman, blah blah blah, because I do believe misogyny is worse than racism, and now we've got both of them to deal with.
Mhm.
But then it happened. It's kind of like when King David and Bathsheba were their baby was sick, and David kept praying and praying and praying, and then once their baby died, he stopped praying, got up, and his servants were like, "You're not asking God for help." And he said, "Well, he made his decision. He's
Mhm.
already, he's dead. There's nothing else I can do." So, the decision has been made. Biden has stepped down, and I know I've been promoting, let's stick with Biden, but he's made his decision,
Right.
and we're moving forward. I was upset about it at the beginning, but by the end of the day, I was very excited,
Yeah.
and I thought, wow, now the conversation can change, and
Mhm.
spend time sending Biden thank you letters. He deserves a lot of credit.
Absolutely.
What I cannot get past are the black people who keep saying he's prejudiced, he's this, he's that, and he is an 81-year-old white man of his era. And what I can say is you can't judge a person by one page in their life. You have
Right.
in the chronology of their life, they've grown. And
Right.
he he willingly played second fiddle to a black man. Now that had to hurt, right?
Mhm.
And he did a
Yeah.
great job of it. And
Yeah.
then he stepped aside and let Hillary run when he was supposed to run.
Mhm.
Then he came
Yeah.
back and pulled up Kamala. And then when he put Katanji on the Supreme Court, that was a moment that I actually cried.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never anticipated that. Never anticipated that. But he, and then I don't want to talk about all of the things that he has tried to do for the middle class. And people keep saying, what has he done for the Black community? What has he done for this community? I don't even know what that means, because I'm a woman, I'm a homeowner, I'm a business owner, I'm a mother. So I have so many identities that when you address the middle class, you help all of us. But I do know unemployment has been at its lowest since the 1960s. I do know that the credits that he's given has helped the middle class people. When I get
Mhm.
old enough for Medicare,
Yeah.
our prescriptions will be capped, our
Right.
cost out of. If I was on insulin, which praise the Lord I'm not, which is a horrible disease, diabetes, and you're on Medicare, your prescriptions are cast at $35 a month. That right there saves lives, millions of
Yeah.
lives.
Absolutely.
Insulin,
Yeah.
$35 a month if you're on Medicare. And frankly, most people get so sick with diabetes that they end up being disabled anyway. So that $35 a month in itself has saved lives.
Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, people
Agree.
are going, what has he done for this community, done for that? And we know Black women die the most with childbirth. And so he's been trying to restore the protections under Roe. And so I'm also like, why are you not standing up for the Black women in the community, in your community? When I see a lot of Black people, especially men, making comments about Biden, the man has really done the best that he can. And if we voted in the
Mm.
midterm, we could have flipped the House, and he would have been able to do more things. Or
Right.
even this, I will say that I am the chair of the Denton County Democratic Party, but I think a great America is actually purple. I don't think it's blue. I don't think it's red. I think a great America is purple. So even if people voted in the primary,
Mhm.
normal Republicans, and there are normal Republicans who know that this stuff is crazy, they could have voted the extreme Republicans out. Because I
Mhm.
remember remember him, he was such an asshole back
Yep.
in
Yep.
America before personal interest to a larger degree than they do nowadays. I thought back then they were obstructionists. I didn't even know what
Mhm.
obstructionists. But even if normal
Right.
people all voted in the primaries, we could get rid of extremism on either side, and we can have parties that try to work together and solve problems.
I agree. And that's gonna, as we're wrapping it up, that is going to be a couple of our last questions, is talking just about that, and the importance of people voting. But before I ask you that question, when you hear people say that I am not going to vote in this election, or I'm not going to vote in any election, how does that make you feel, and what do you say to them? Because I hear a lot of
I
that, especially now.
Ooh, I feel gut punched. I don't know. I had to mature with that, because it's a lack of information, lack of civics. I think we all need to emphasize civics education in our secondary education more, because whether it's a local election, which affects you the most,
Correct.
national election, you have to vote. And people, democracy is a full contact sport. And the only price that we pay for democracy is to vote.
Mhm.
The price we pay.
Yeah.
And you be an educated voter. That's all you have to do. And then go about your daily life. And
Yeah.
people will say, I don't know this, I don't know that. And I know as in Denton County, we don't get money from other sources. We only get donations from people in the county. So it's very limited. But we do as much as we can to provide as much information as possible. But we should, as Americans, be conditioned to want to look for that information
Right.
and be ready to exercise your vote anytime an election comes along, and not just sit around and say, well, I will just live under the guidelines of whatever whoever decides to vote does. And that's what's happening now. We only have about a 6%, if that much, of people who vote in the primary, which is March. And that's when we pick our candidates for November. And so if only extreme radical people on either side vote in March, Then in November, the 94% of us are being governed by an extremist.
Right.
So my plea to vote is for everyone, not just Democrats, but Republicans, because there are lots and lots of them who realize that their party has gone off the rails, extreme. But
Hmm.
you can that by voting. So yeah, I really don't know what to say about that. It's sometimes if I'm in a conversation and I'm just bored, because I try not to fight on social media, but sometimes I just get bored. If I ask a person, did you vote? Or if they say they haven't voted, I will stop communicating with them.
Hmm. Oh, and just let them go on their merry way.
There's nothing to talk about. If you're not a
Yeah.
voter, you're not engaged in the process. So there's nothing you complaining and not voting. No.
Yeah.
Why should I communicate?
I agree. I agree. So, with that being said, in Denton County, what strategic plan do y'all have in place to make sure that people are engaged, that people are going to get to the polls, and that they are going to vote?
Well, I can tell you our last cycle, and now we're moving into another cycle, and all of that depends on funding.
Okay.
And our funding is not as strong as it was before, because Denton County is learning that you have to continuously donate. It's not oh, we donated once and Betchel didn't win governor. You have to invest to move forward. It's actually not until 2030 when we can change the maps. The maps is really what's keeping us with these extreme representatives, because they've cut it so that every election, every race is like 90% Republicans versus 10% Democrats. So they know that they just have to win the primary in March. And so that's hard to get people to vote. So the first thing we did was we got the ballot filled, because people are discouraged when they go vote and there's not people on the ballot. And those people, we got our state races, all of them, the first time in my memory in Denton County, maybe before, that there's a candidate in every race for the state positions, House districts and Senate. That right there in itself is phenomenal, because it's very hard to be a candidate. But that encourages people to go down ballot and vote. Then we've organized, we spent the year engaging 2023, engaging people, getting our precinct chairs used to calling their precincts and trying to fill precinct spots. And
Mhm.
what we're doing now, creating a blue neighbor coalition with one thing we've done is we've increased engagement. So there's so many different clubs popping up. And let me give you one example. The Flower Mound flipped blue because of the engagement that we had from our Flower Mound area Dems. They did a lot of block rocking and grassroots campaigning. When you don't have a lot of money, you learn how to do the basics, and the basics is actually so
Yeah.
even going against Republicans on the local level, they'll have $70,000 in a local race. We were still able to save our school boards and our municipalities. Flipping Flower Mound was huge because we had increased engagement from people, which is what we as a party have been working on. Did we get a call?
Oh, no. I thought I put my
Oh, okay.
phone on do not disturb. That was a text.
But so our Blue Neighbor project is going to all those clubs, putting us all together so that we can all start disseminating the same information. My dream has always been that we as candidates and that the party have the same messaging. And I think we're going to be able to do that, because Republicans always message together. You
Right.
could run for in 2020, they would, I'm running for dog catcher, but I don't believe in open borders and I won't defund the police. It has nothing to do with dog catcher, but they're all messaging together. And so
Right.
people who don't know what's going on, they'll just say, I don't know who to vote for, but I just know Republicans won't defund the police. So we're going to start doing more messaging as a unit, and
Mhm.
not say you need to vote this, this Democratic candidate because they're qualified. All Democrats are qualified. That's like
Mhm.
never the issue. We need to vote because we're the ones that will protect democracy.
Right.
Those kind of things we're going to do, unified messaging and working with all the different coalitions and the different community engagement that's increased since I've been chair. I'm
Mhm.
excited about that, because even though we don't have the same amount of money, we have more engagement, and change actually happens when you have more engagement. because Flower Mound flipped because those Democrats in Flower Mound were engaged. When the people of the community get ready to change, it has to come from the community. The county party can't manufacture that energy.
Right.
So I'm
That's
excited more about all of the groups that we are going to work together to do singular messaging to get out and vote.
That's good. I love it. I love it. So you all, we have our time is out. I'm sure there's so much more that we can talk about with Delia, but if you have enjoyed this lunch and learn, let us know. Let us know in the comment section, because we would love, if you need to know more information, possibly come back with another session, or you can ask Delia some questions in the comment section, and I'm sure she'll be more than happy to answer them for you. But this lunch and learn was all about just that, us learning, taking the time out for an hour and hearing from someone in the community that is doing it, that is making changes, that is just really excited and passionate about the work that she does. And that is Delia, who we talked to today. So if you, Delia, can also tell us, how can we help? Like, how can people help? How can they give? What can they do to help you out or to help the party out?
Well, on our website, Denton Democrats, www.dentondemocrats, you can sign up if you want to volunteer, because again, we may not have money to pay block walkers, but more people engaged in the community, to me, is really how you do it, neighbor to neighbor. So you
Right.
can go on that website and you can also donate. Those are very important things. Sometimes people can't do that with their time. And then there's people who have lots and lots of money, and I guarantee you would feel more better writing us a big check than you would do what we do.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to write us a big check to help us do what we do than it is
Yeah.
to roll up your sleeves and act in that hot sun or cold call people. But we're willing to do it. But we're only financed through the community. So donating. On August 24th, we're having our annual LBJ Obama dinner. It's a gala. It's always in Louisville. Um, and we're going to have speakers. We're going to have Representative Vicki Godwin as our keynote speaker. She's going to be running for lieutenant governor, and she's amazing. We have other elected officials that are going to be speaking. That is a great opportunity to donate and to come out and socialize. We have sponsorship opportunities for that, and we have ticket purchases. We have a auction going on. So that's a good opportunity to engage and be around Democrats in a safe environment.
Okay.
Our ability to get out the vote and to do the things that we need to do to get people voting in November and to get rid of that project 2025.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Delia, thank you so much for being with us on today. And thank you all for those of you that tuned in with us. And please, again, watch the replay. I can't stress it enough to share this video so that others will be able to get the information that we received during this hour. And we will be back on next Monday for Motivational Monday with me, your girl, Jackie O, at 7 p.m. Our normal time. We'll be back with Christina Wise, and we're going to be talking about finances. And does your money have energy? That's the question. So we'll be back at 7 p.m. on August the 5th, Monday, August the 5th, for Motivational Monday with Jackie O. So again, thank you all, everyone, for tuned in with us. And we'll be putting the website for the Denton Democrats, putting their website in our caption section so that you can go and you can donate. You can find out how you can volunteer and what you can do to be a part. So again, Delia, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone else for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.